Okay, we're going to talk about an array of objects. And I'm using a very simplistic example, the grade, driver, and grade activity. Grade activity is going to be my object. So I can look at the class file, and here's the class file for it. And the only instance member we're going to have is score. Okay, so that's the only one we're going to have. Right now, the only constructor we have for graded activity, because if you notice there's no method with that name, is the blank one, to where whenever I call a graded activity object, it just sets my score to 0 on my blank one. Okay, but now I have all the other appropriate methods: the set score, the get score, and then here to get a letter grade, I also have a method that returns a char, the A, the B, the C, the D, or the F. Okay, now notice I'm not passing in anything to get grade, because once I create my graded activity object, my score is set at that point in time. So that's why I don't have to pass anything into it. Okay, so that is my object. Now let's go to the driver. Now on here, I would have to make sure that my driver said grade driver as its class name, because that's the same as the file name. I have my main. Now normally, whenever I wanted to create an object, I would simply call it a graded activity and give it a name equals new graded activity, and then pass it whatever number I want to be able to create if I had a constructor for it. If I didn't, I would just create it that way, and then I would have to call my ga.set score to get a score for GA. Now the thing is, if I had 100 scores I need to create the objects for, then I would have to type this one line in 100 times and have 100 object names, which is not efficient, maintainable, or reusable. So what we can do is create an array, a single dimensional array, really, that here it's not an int or a string or any of those other single dim arrays we're used to, but it is the object type is the type of array it is. You can kind of think of it in the fact that this array can hold any data types. It's not restricted to just holding ints or just holding strings. I can, whatever instance member is in graded activity is going to be the data type that's going through. Now, to get this created correctly though, I go down and I still create my single dim array called tests. Its data type is the object type that I'm going to put in there. Okay, now this one I'm only creating 3 of them. So this is a single dim graded activity array that will hold 3 objects. Okay, now since I created this in order to fill it, because remember I have position 0, position 1, position 2, then I have to tell it the name of my object and what's the position in that array my object holds. So to fill the first one, I create a graded activity, and to set the score, I still tell it the name, the position, dot, call the method and send it the data it needs. Okay, now as I go through here, notice I have 0. Well, from here, I would have to be able to If I wanted to fill position 1, I could still have a tests position 1 dot set score 78. Now it's going to know which method I want to call out of my graded activity, like the get the letter grade, by telling it the name of the array object, test, what position, dot set score. So anything we've learned about accessing and using arrays, plus using just regular objects, we can still do. It's just we access it by having to put a position on it. Okay, so if I go down and I want to print this out, well, I can have my for loop, because that's how we process arrays. I can still have my print line. Whenever I want to access the object and print it out, I have to tell it the name again of my array object, what position, dot, what's the method I want. So this will go through, and if I've created 3 objects, this will loop through and grab all of the object out of the test and get the appropriate method data because of the object name. Arrays of objects should not be a large leap for you to comprehend, because we've already been through how you process arrays and we've already been on how you create objects. This is combining the two. I hope this helped you.